You guys were asking me to compare an HVAC tech and a real estate agent. So we're going to go ahead and go over that today because in America, there's a lot of different cities where you can't get an HVAC tech to your house for up to 3 weeks. So it's a huge amount of work for not enough HVAC techs. All at the same time, real estate agents are fighting over the same clients just to make about $46,000 a year. So it's just a case where too many people are fighting over the same customers as opposed to an HVAC tech. There's just an unlimited amount of customers. So let's go ahead and start off by talking about the money. So for the median real estate agent, they made about $46,000 last year. And if you compare that to the median HVAC tech, they made between $57,000 and $80,000 for the entire year. Now, if they are an HVAC specialist with years of experience, that yearly income balloons from $90,000 to $120,000 a year. And that's if they are employees. Now, if they're going to be business owners and create their own HVAC company, their income can balloon up to $150,000 to $400,000 per year if they are working in major metropolitan markets. And that's just because of the simple case of supply and demand. Oftentimes, HVAC techs are just so busy, or HVAC companies are so busy, they have to turn away work. And you compare that with a real estate agent when they're basically fighting over the same listings, same buyers. Now you compare that with a real estate agent, it's virtually unheard of that they are turning away customers. Of course, there are top 3% agents that are very picky about the customers that they take on, but that is pretty rare. Also, if we look at the 2008 financial crisis, a lot of agent commissions have decreased since then. So their commissions are certainly under attack, especially after the NAR lawsuit restructuring nationally, as opposed to HVAC tech salaries have increased steadily over the past 2 decades. Also, because of the supply and demand, if an HVAC tech or an HVAC company decides to work on the weekends, they're usually going to charge a premium rate for emergency services. And you can put that with a real estate agent, they're generally working on the weekends or evening, or a lot of times whenever the client calls. So the HVAC tech is going to have a lot more freedom to choose when they want to work and with whom they want to work. So moving on to what it takes to be an HVAC tech and a real estate agent. For an HVAC tech, it usually comes about as an apprenticeship. So during the apprenticeship, it's going to last between 3 and 5 years. So during those 3 to 5 years, the apprentice is making money. So they're basically getting paid to learn the trade. When you compare that with a real estate agent, the schooling is much less. Oftentimes, it's going to be a few weeks to a few months to get the license. But even after they get their license, it's going to be at least 1 year to 18 months before they see their very first real estate commission. So the real estate agent should have a surplus built up to kind of last for that year to year and a half until clients start coming in. So when HVAC techs are going through their training programs, it could cost between $1,000 and $5,000, as opposed to real estate licensing, it could be between $1,000 and $3,000. However, the real estate agent is more independent. They're going to need to pay for a lot of different marketing expenses, MLS fees, desk dues. So that can add up between $10,000 and $20,000 before any kind of commissions come in. So let's go ahead and move on to work-life balance. With an HVAC tech, they're generally going to be working 40 to 48 hours per week, especially if they're going to be working for a company. And when they check in and check out, that's it. That's done. They're not going to be dealing with any kind of customers, as opposed to a real estate agent. They're going to be working basically 24/7 because you don't want to turn away any kind of potential clients, especially during that 12 to 18 months when you're ramping up your business. So that means you are basically working the schedule of your buyers or sellers, as opposed to an HVAC tech. They have a set schedule so they can plan their life accordingly. Another good thing about being an HVAC tech is mental clarity after the job ends. So with a real estate agent, you're dealing with buyer anxiety, you're dealing with seller expectations, and these deals can drag on for months on end, as opposed to in HVAC tech, you're going to go into the house or the commercial property. You're going to solve the problem usually within a couple hours. If it's a large job, it could be a few days, but after that, you just give them your invoice and then you're done with the job. There's no mental overload that you have to keep thinking about these particular cases like a real estate agent would. Because of this mental workload, oftentimes real estate agents report some of the highest stress and anxiety levels, as opposed to HVAC techs consistently report a high level of job satisfaction. And that increases even more for HVAC technicians that create their own company, so they can choose their own schedule, they can choose their own customer. Now, because of that, a lot of times real estate agents, when they jump into the profession, within 5 years, they say that 87% of them are no longer going to be in the real estate field. As opposed to an HVAC, when they go through their apprenticeship and they're working, generally they're going to stay in that profession for decades to come. So let's talk about the future of these two professions. A lot of contributing factors, including climate change, has created an unprecedented surge of HVAC demand. Many of the older HVAC units are needing to be replaced. So because of that, there's not really any slowdown in HVAC demand in the near future. These people are booked out for weeks on end, and it could be even more than that if you live in a metropolitan market like Florida. Every year there's different government benefits or incentives to upgrade or to change out your HVAC units. Just with government incentives, that's going to push the industry to be even more busy and more money flowing into HVAC. Another downside to being a real estate agent is the common use of artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence can mainstream a lot of different real estate agent functions and paperwork, as opposed to an HVAC tech. Most of that's going to be physical labor. So until they create robots that can take over the HVAC tech, it's under less attack than a real estate agent as a profession in whole. In fact, HVAC tech is one of the least likely professions that are going to be replaced with automation. So this isn't to rag on real estate agents, because being a real estate agent does have there are a lot of real estate agents that build elite businesses in places like Manhattan or California, where these real estate agents can easily bring in $300,000 to $1 million per year. That basically no HVAC tech that's working for a company is going to get close to that particular type of income. Also, being in real estate, it opens up a lot of different doors. You can go ahead and pivot into rental income. You can pivot into flipping properties. You can work for different investors. So it opens up a lot of different avenues that an HVAC tech just wouldn't see. So there you have it. If you are thinking about going into HVAC or getting your real estate agent license, if you're going into real estate, you're walking into a shrinking pool of commissions, as opposed to HVAC tech, you are going into an industry that is exploding with work with high income potential, especially if you end up starting your own HVAC business. So if you're in HVAC and you see these income figures increasing, drop your income below. Let the rest of us know. I'll see you on the next one.